Hi, fourth graders. I'm starting a new book. This will be the last book of the year, but I'm really excited to share this with you. The Hidden Prince by Jeffrey E. Burkart, and the illustrations are by Patrick Whelan. Let me read you the introductory page here. This is what it says. This is a folktale. It can be read simply in and of itself. Yet, it is much more than a simple story. The Hidden Prince is a parable containing hidden meanings. Parables are stories that use illustrations and comparisons to reveal truth. The power of the parable lies in its ability to reveal truth in a different way so that the real story will have a new and deeper meaning. The Hidden Prince contains hidden meanings, symbols, characters, and events waiting to be discovered. Each discovery leads you back to the one true story. The story of God's love for us in Jesus. You are going to love this story. Let me start now with part 1, The King and His Son. Once upon a time, there lived a great king who ruled over vast lands. He lived in a magnificent castle fortress whose alabaster towers reached high into the heavens. The castle's gates were covered with thick bronze that reflected the light of the sun. It stood on a promontory and was surrounded by the great sea on one side and a wide moat on the other. The king loved his people, even though they did not always return his love. It seemed as though they had built a kind of barrier between themselves and the king. If this barrier had been made of wood or stone, the king could easily have broken through it. But this was a barrier the people had made in their hearts and minds against the king. These pictures are beautiful. The king greatly longed for his people to love him as much as he loved them. It was the kind of love that the king had for his son, the prince. The king loved his son more than anything he possessed: gold and silver, castles and kingdom. And he loved him more than the golden medallion that hung around his neck as a token of his kingly power, riches, and authority. One day, the prince asked his father if he could leave the castle. He desired to learn more about the outside world and the subjects over whom he would someday rule. Since the prince had never before ventured from the castle, his father was afraid for his safety. Just then, however, something else occurred to the king. Would it be possible, the king thought to himself, that my people could come to know me better through my son? I will send him into the outside world, and we shall see if he can win the hearts of my people. The prince and the king spoke for many hours about the unfamiliar world outside. Let's do it this way. Then the king prepared the way for his son's journey into the world beyond the castle walls. Isn't that a great picture? All right. A coach drawn by 6 strong horses was readied. The king's most noble coachman was ordered to drive, and the captain of the royal guards assembled his best men to accompany the prince on his trek across the kingdom. Finally, the time came for the king to bid his son farewell. With a strong embrace, he said goodbye and placed his precious golden medallion around his son's neck. "Next to you, this is my greatest possession," he said. "It is known throughout the land as the symbol of my authority. Use it wisely, my son, and when you have learned about my kingdom, come back and reign with me always." The great bronze doors of the castle swung open, and the prince and his entourage proceeded across the drawbridge and into the country beyond. The lords and the ladies of the court looked on as the king, feeling alone for the first time in his life, shed tears of sorrow. The prince waved goodbye until the castle was out of sight. Already he missed his father and the familiar surroundings of the fortress. But there was no turning back. The quest the prince had begun. The quest of the prince had begun. So guess what? That's already the end of part 1. So I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to go ahead and do part 2, but you'll be able to pick it up in parts as you have time. All right. Bye-bye.